It is.
Και η μπάλα ξεκίνεται στο γήπεδο, πλησιάζει την περιοχή και
κατέβασε και εσύ το Beton Alpha app και μην χάσεις ούτε ένα γκολ. Beton Alpha. Ανεβήκαμε κατηγορία.
Edo, welcome to a very special No JORDI'S. I'm Stel, I've got Roy, I've got Chris. I've got Danny here, all the way the other side. Our friend from Wigan, he's a Wigan Athletic fan for BT Sports as well. So he's done all sorts of bits. But you guys have come in for one guy. You guys are tuned in for one guy. You know who he is. You don't need me to do the introduction, but let's do a brief one. He captained us, league champion, cup winner. One of the best left feet I've ever seen in my life. Sorry, Kiko, because I know he scored a worldie yesterday. Jordi Gomez. Amigo, what's going on?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, mate. Welcome to the pod. Thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we first talked about it, but finally I'm here. Yeah, finally.
Hey, listen, it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait.
You know, Jordi's just like a girl you've been chasing for a long time. You're like, yeah, I got her.
Yeah.
Were you speaking on an experience or, you know, because your missus is in the other room, bruv. You need to watch what you say. Really,
yeah, truly, I'm married for 15 years. I got kids, you know, but, you know, I still remember back in the day, man. I'm talking about back in the day.
We can't edit this out, bruv. Honestly, that's it. You said it now.
It's so good, man. I'm so happy we got Jordi on the show, man. So happy.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be here also. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate it. First of all, Danny, welcome to the pod, man. This is your debut. I don't think you're going to experience anything like this before.
No, I've been warned. I've been warned. I've watched a couple in the past. Obviously, I covered the two Manchester United games in the Europa for BT. So I've had a bit of experience about what this podcast is like, but it's not quite the same, is it, until you actually do it yourself? So now I'm excited. It should be good fun.
Brilliant. Well, before we start, giving Jordi the Spanish Inquisition, look at that. See what I did there? It's brilliant. Tell us about your experience with Omonoia, because obviously you covered the United game, as you mentioned. I'm assuming you came to Cyprus and you even interviewed Francis, our keeper.
Yeah. So, I was on site in Cyprus for the first one, which was awesome. I mean, it was great that, the first most important thing was it was like 30 degrees Celsius while we were out there. And we'd left like single degrees back in London. So that was the best part about it. Sitting around the pool at the hotel, doing your prep. Can't really beat that. But yeah, when we got there, obviously a lot of the home fans weren't massively confident. It didn't seem like in them getting a result. So we didn't really know what to expect. But the way it worked out with Omonoia going 1-0 up was great. The place erupted. It was one of the best atmospheres I've seen for a long time. And the reverse was every bit as good. 4,500 fans coming over in the away end at Old Trafford. And then maybe one of my favourite interviews I've ever done with Francis afterwards, who, as much as they've lost 1-0, like the beaming smile on his face was awesome. And you could see just how excited he was to play at Old Trafford and play that well. And good luck to the kid, because he seems like a good lad.
Absolutely, mate. Absolute top luck he is. Right, Jordi, let's start from the beginning, mate. Barcelona Academy,
That was a long time ago. I don't even remember.
Okay, all right. Okay, so just move on to Espanyol.
No, it was good to be there. I was there 10 years, more than 10, 12 years. So it was, as a kid, it was the best place to be, just to develop you as a player, also as a person. And I was lucky that I'm from Barcelona, so I could go there to that academy of Barcelona.
Because when you were there, you were with Andrea Orlandi, who also played in Cyprus.
Yeah, I was there. I was with him in Barcelona, being the second team. At the end of my time in Barcelona, the last 2 years, yeah.
So tell us about that photograph of you and Messi then, because I've seen that photograph time and time again.
Listen, I've seen that picture. Every year I see that picture, which is horrible. That
yeah, but look at this. From a fan
No,
of ours.
you can be with the best player, no, but the best picture you have is with. No, that picture is horrible, and that is from. We made our debut with Barcelona the same day at Porto with the first team, and 2 days before that game, they did some kind of interview with us, and that's the best picture they had, you know.
Come on, I'm sure you got better ones that you're obviously not going to show us, which is understandable. That's fine. That's fine. But when you were breaking through the academy, what was the competition like for places at the time? Did you feel that you had a strong chance of getting into that first team? Because having spoken to Andrea, it's strange how things worked out with Messi, because he was actually ahead of him in the pecking order, wasn't he?
No, Messi, I remember I was in the under-19 team, and he's 2 years younger than me. But in 1 year, he went through 3 or 4 teams, the under-16, the under-16, the under-19. And I think that same year, he made his debut with the first team. So in 7 months, because he was so good, he went through all these teams. And you could see he was a very good player, but at that time, you could not say he was going to be one of the best.
But what about yourself, though? Were you confident of getting your opportunity into the team at the time?
To be honest, at that time, obviously I was doing okay, not too bad, and I had the opportunity to be close to the first team. But I think, looking back, I was not ready mentally in terms of, looking at all those players and Ronaldinho's and all this. Mentally, I think it was too much for me at that time. So that's one of the reasons I could not make it at the time. Obviously, the competition was massive. You have players in front of you. It was almost impossible. But I think mentally also I was not ready. So I had to leave just to get better and improve.
And then you ended up in Espanyol, literally down the road, right?
I think it was one of the best decisions I made. It was in that year I was between the first team and the second team. I did a good season with the second team. I played 3 times with the first team, and it was a good year for me. Then I think we played a friendly game in some international break or something against Swansea, and I think that the opportunity of going to England was from that game we played against them. Probably I did well. I cannot remember the game exactly, but probably I did well, and I had the opportunity then with Roberto to go to England.
Well, I remember the Swansea team or the squad a couple of years before you joined, and they're the likes of Leon Knight and Lee Trundle, Akin Fenwa. But when you were there, they had Leon Britton. They had, oh, blimey, which other players did they have? Crikey. I've completely forgot the names now. Obviously, Andrea was there. Blimey, Rangel was there. Joe Allen was there. So what was that squad like, that atmosphere, knowing that there was a Spanish contingent?
The good thing was that we were, obviously the staff, some of the staff were Spanish, and 7 or 8 players were also Spanish, or at least Spanish speaking. That made the adaptation much easier for me, and that helped a lot. To not to go there and just being on your own, but to have your teammates there that in difficult moments can help you was a big help for me.
But you weren't always a central midfielder, though, were you? If I'm not mistaken.
I started at Swansea. I have to say, is one of the places where I enjoyed most my football, because we had, there were some Dutch players, Spanish players. Obviously, the coach was Spanish, so the style was perfect for me. So I had a very good season, and I enjoyed playing, not only because I had a very good season, but because the way we played, the way everything was organized at Swansea at that time, it was one of my best times during my career. Yeah.
Before I pass it over to Danny, there's one very quick question I want to ask with regards to your time at Espanyol. There was a central midfielder, if I'm not mistaken, Ivan de la Peña. Did you play alongside him or play in a train? Because for me, he was
there. He was there when I was there. I trained with him. No, he was. But at that time, I think he had some issues with the injuries and everything. So he was. I think he was. I can't remember. Maybe his last year at Espanyol, but no, he was. No, at that side it was Tamude, it was Ivan de la Peña, it was Luis Garcia, it was Riera. No, they had a very good team, and it was good for me to train with those players, because it made me better player. When you play or you train, in that case with good players, it makes you a better one also.
Excellent. Go on, Danny.
Well, I was going to ask.
Come on.
When
I cannot remember anything about Wigan.
Oh, really? You were there for so long, Jordi. Come on.
Yeah.
It's when Roberto left Swansea to go to Wigan.
Yeah.
Did you think at the back of your head, he likes me, he's going to take me there? Was it always a transfer that you thought might happen to follow Roberto there?
No, honestly, no. I don't know why, but I didn't think that, okay, he's going to Everton. No. From Swansea to Wigan, you said.
Swansea to Wigan,
From Swansea. Well, the thing is, they wanted to keep me, I think, in the winter or something. They were already talking with Espanyol because I was on loan there. So to make it permanently. But financially, I don't know how much Espanyol was asking. So it was, at that time, was not possible. So I knew he wanted me there at Swansea, maybe. So yeah, I said, okay, maybe he calls me. And the moment he called me, so I said yes straight away. But yeah, at that time, I thought, okay, maybe because it went well for me at Swansea, maybe there's a possibility to go there. But I was not, you asked yourself, but I was not sure about it.
And when you joined Wigan, you'd had a great season with Swansea. Joining Wigan at that time was maybe a different proposition. They were struggling pretty much every year, right? We'd be at the bottom of the division and then turn it on in like March and survive. Going into that kind of environment, what were your first impressions with that kind of football? Because you couldn't, I suppose, with Swansea in the Championship, it was just like, play great football, Spanish style, try it on. But I remember the first few years under Roberto, a lot of the fans who were sat near me were just like, you can't do this at the bottom of the Premier League.
No, it was difficult because I went from the Swansea City style, completely different to what Wigan was at that time. So to change that, it took a long time, I think. I would say more than one season, even 2 seasons. So at the beginning, my style didn't fit with what the fans were used to, because it was completely different. So yeah, it was difficult, but it made me stronger mentally, and I'm glad that I had to go through those difficult times, because I was criticized a lot, and I was, but that made me even push harder, and that's something I had to live with. But I'm happy that it went the way it went. Yeah.
Did those criticisms affect you? Because I'll be honest, I took to you quite quickly. I enjoyed the fact that we had someone who could pass the ball in the middle of midfield, which was different to what we'd had the last few years. But when fans are maybe not taking to you, do you hear that? Does that affect you at all?
No, obviously it affects you. That's for sure. Because I didn't, everything during my career, early years, everything went more or less in a good way. So when you get there and you have to face that situation, is obviously it's going to affect you, but you know, as I said, it makes you stronger. So now, if I have to face that again, it doesn't affect me at all. So that's good that I had to live with it, because now, if somebody says anything to me, it's not going to affect me. So that's something. That's the positive thing about it. At the end, you know, I think the last year, before my fourth year, I was player of the season there. So it took time, but at the end, everything ended in a good way. So that's why I'm happy that I could go through all those moments. But yeah, it was obviously it's not nice, but sometimes it's necessary to go through those moments.
Talking about ending on a high, 2013, winning the FA Cup. What was that run like? What was that being a part of? I was there when you scored the penalty at Macclesfield, I think the fourth round.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like?
No, obviously to play the FA Cup, I like to play the FA Cup games, you know, because the stadiums were full and everything it was a good atmosphere in those games. But obviously at the beginning, you are not thinking, okay, this year we're going to win the FA Cup. But, you know, we were winning games. Then we beat Everton. We went the semi-finals against, and we were lucky because we played against Millwall.
Millwall, yeah.
So it was, I think it was after the Huddersfield game. We had to play Everton. We said, listen, if we beat Everton, we are there. So at that moment, we thought, okay, maybe we can do something here. But obviously, at the beginning, it was not in our heads to win the FA Cup.
Didn't happen. I mean, the 3 minutes where the 3 goals happened at Everton might have been the craziest away end I've ever been. I thought Goodison Park was going to collapse around our ears. It was ridiculous when that third goal went in.
It was 3 minutes. 3 minutes, 3 goals. That was listen. That run of games that year was unbelievable. Everything went our way, and I could score also some goals there in those games. So it was obviously nice to live that experience.
But then 4 days later, at Arsenal, relegation, which was hideous watching that on TV. I can't imagine what it must have been like. To go from that on a Saturday night, winning the FA Cup, 4 days later being relegated, what was the aftermath like? What were those 4 days like?
Well, we were all year fighting. I mean, not all year. I mean, 3 or 4 years fighting for relegation. But if you ask the fans, what do they prefer, if winning the FA Cup or staying in the Premier League, they would have chosen 100% winning the FA Cup.
100%.
So obviously we wanted to stay up, but it was not possible. I mean, it would have been extraordinary to win the FA Cup, also staying up. It would have been perfect, but at the time was not possible. But obviously we tried our best, and that's what you have to do, try your best, and then if the results don't come, what can you do? True.
Obviously, I don't want to take over because I know this is basically just interesting to Wigan fans. But after you left, Jordi, was there any possibility of you ever coming back to Wigan? Any of the other moves that you made, was it ever mentioned? Were you ever approached? Were you ever close to coming back to Wigan after you left?
No, I left to Sunderland, and then I went back 6 months after my second year in Sunderland. I went back.
Yeah, after that, after you left, were you ever close to
coming
back? No, never. It was never brought up.
No,
that's a shame.
No, and you know, I think it was a mistake to go back. Honestly,
really,
not a mistake, but you know, it didn't go well. So, but you know, I thought it was gonna be good to be back, but it didn't go the way, because you know, Gary Cadwell was sacked after, I don't know, 1 month or 2 months. New manager came in. So when season didn't start well, so in January I made the decision of, it's better to part ways in a good way, but and after that, actually, I didn't go back to the UK after that.
No.
I
mean, look, I don't know if you've seen how well they're doing this season, but if you can get yourself fit, we might have you. We could do you back now. I'm not even kidding. Get you in that midfield.
Too late.
Jordi, can I just take you back to that cup final, mate? Because I know you've probably spoken about this on numerous occasions, but when you look at that City team, right? They had Company, Toure, Tevez, Silva, Aguero. Kolarov was on the bench. Like Dzeko came on as well. I mean, they talk about that being one of the greatest upsets in FA Cup history. But when you look back on how great that City team was, especially with those players like Aguero, for example, I mean, that surely makes that victory even more sweet, and knowing how well City have done, how they've kicked on from that squad as well.
No, obviously they were unbelievable players, unbelievable team. We played really well. I think we deserved to win, but obviously we had also some luck during the game. At the beginning, they had 2 or 3 chances. Our goalkeeper made some great saves, and sometimes you need this little bit of luck to win, to beat those teams. And yeah, at one game, anything can happen. It's like big teams, they play against smaller teams, they don't score, then they score, and at the end, in one corner, as it happened, we scored the winner. So you don't expect to win the FA Cup, but at one game, anything can happen, and it happened.
There you go. So you went to Sunderland, and I don't think you'd have thought that further down the line that you'd be playing alongside 2 teammates at Omonoia after being at Sunderland, Mavrias and Pantilimon. Ended up at
I was not thinking about coming to Cyprus at that time.
Of course
but
not.
Yeah, football is a small world. At the end, everybody knows each other. Everybody knows everybody, and yeah, it's nice to to play with those kind of players. And at that time, I was not thinking that I would play alongside Pantilimon at Omonoia in Cyprus. Sure not.
So what about Gus Poyet then? Because you went from Martinez to Poyet, I'm guessing 2 completely different personalities. Poyet is now the head coach of the Greek national team. But I heard the story about an incident between Brighton and Crystal Palace, which we're not going to go into because Andrea's already told me that story.
I know. I heard something.
Right? Danny's laughing because he knows what
the
story,
But what was Poyet like? And on top of that, that was a very, very good Sunderland squad. When you look at John O'Shea, Wes Brown, Jermaine Defoe, it was a very strong squad, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, Poyet, in terms of style, is a little bit similar to Roberto Martinez. But Poyet as a person, or as a personality, is more passionate, more less calm than Roberto, and that's the biggest difference between the 2 of them. That's the biggest difference. But I like Poyet. I like the way he manages the team, and the way he wants to play. Is a good coach.
So talk to me about Jermaine Defoe, please, because my friend Leon played alongside him at youth level, really rates him highly. I think he's one of the most underrated strikers the Premier League has ever seen.
Jermaine Defoe was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he was. I mean, he's not physically a massive striker, obviously. No, but his finishing, his movement, his all-around play was very good. And also, he's a very good guy. He's a good personality. No, I was lucky to play with him, honestly. And he did well at Sunderland. I mean, he scored some important goals there.
Yeah, there was that one against Newcastle in the last minute, wasn't it? Which
no, last minute of the first half.
The first half, yeah. Cracking finish. But when you look back at your Premier League experience or your time in England, people talk about the Premier League being the most demanding league in the world. I think that's just I don't know. Do you think it's a rhetoric, Danny, that you see because of the way that the press or the world in general see the Premier League? I don't know, but I just think that it's a very competitive environment. But in terms of the technical element of it, having played in the Championship and the Premier League, would you say it's more demanding than, say, La Liga?
More demanding, the Premier League than La Liga.
Yeah, in terms of the
physicality. Probably yes. I haven't played in La Liga a lot, to be fair. Only 3 games, long time ago. So. But yeah, it's especially for me, the kind of player I am. It was good that I had to adapt to that kind of game. You know? It was not easy at the beginning, but I was there 9 years, so I'm happy that I lasted that long. I mean, that means I did something well to stay there that long. But it's obviously demanding. It's a demanding league, and it's becoming even more demanding now with new coaches coming in. Even best players are going to that league also. So it's not an easy league to play.
All right, this is the quick. Go on.
Sorry, Stel. I was just going to ask. How do you think you changed from going to Swansea right at the beginning to leaving the UK? How do you think you changed as a player?
As a player, no, I had to adapt to, as I said before. First, I played in too many positions. I played right winger with my speed. How can I play right winger? Right winger. So I had to adapt my game to different situations. I had to adapt also to the criticism. I had to adapt to a new country. And that's something I love it. I love that I had to go all those different situations to be a better player, a better mentally stronger. As a player. If things are easy, you don't improve. You learn, you improve when things are not easy. And that's what I learned during my career.
Jordi, I'm going to ask you a question now that might be a little bit, I won't say controversial, but a little bit unfair. Who would you say
Can I say no comment? Can I say no comment?
Of course. You've got every right to do so. But when you played in England, who would you say was your most difficult opponent and the best player you played against?
Opponent. I don't know, probably Yaya Touré. He was on his best days at Man City at that time, I think. Yeah, Yaya Touré, probably. There was also Rooney. He was playing well that time. I don't know. Those were that I can remember now.
Fair enough. Well, there's a question here about your time at Vallecano. What was it like playing there?
Well, honestly, it was good. At that time, the things didn't go well in my second spell at Wigan. So I said, okay, let's go back to Spain because I didn't play there. So I just played 3 games. So let's try. And now Vallecano is a nice club. It's in Madrid, also in a nice city. It's a small club in Spain, but it's the supporters. They really support the team, so it was a nice experience. I only was there 5 months, but it was nice to be there for that time.
Brilliant. Now I know Roy's been itching, Chris has been itching. Come on, boys, do your thing.
Let's go, Roy. Start it.
Roy's been smoking and drinking. I don't think he remembers anything.
No, I've been following everything. It's just that my wife's birthday is on Tuesday, and we decided to have a small party today.
He's backtracking now. He made that comment earlier about chasing the girl when I was, it's my wife's birthday on Tuesday.
It's my wife's birthday on Tuesday, so we had a little before party, so we had some friends over, but so we heard about the story about your career in Spain and England. Obviously, at that time, it was Omonoia changed from being they had a lot of difficulties at the time, and Babastavru came along, and we we changed everything there at Omonia, and you came as one of the choices of the Spanish sort of model we chose at that time. And
It
you
lasted
were,
3 weeks.
yeah, that's exactly that. That's what happened. In 3 weeks, we had to have a team to compete.
All that and out.
And you were one of the choices then, which, you know, at the end of the day, you were the best player at that time who came out money. How did they approach you, and how did that come about? You know, the Omonia offer, and how did you come to Omonia?
No, at that time I was in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And I had 1 more year contract in Bulgaria, but for different reasons, I wanted to leave. Then it was really quick. Basically, my agent contacted the Spanish sporting director, Angel Gomez, at that time, and it was they talked and they said, okay, it fits what we want. We didn't talk a lot. I said, okay, let's go to Cyprus. Normally I don't take, it doesn't take a lot of time for me to decide for a new challenge. I thought from the first moment that it was a good challenge to come to Cyprus. And I came here. It was only 3-4 days, 5 days. It was not like, okay, they were chasing me all summer and this, that. No, it was less than a week, I would say.
Did it live up to your expectations, though? You know, you came to Omonia, and at the time, obviously, Omonia is a big club in Cyprus, but it was going through a transition at the time. But obviously, the first year wasn't really a success for the club, and but you know, 4 years later, if someone asked you, did you regret for that decision? What would you say? It's mostly a general question about, you know, what were your years at Omonia, you know, looking at it back, you know, now.
No, looking back, it was unbelievable decision, very good decision to come here. I have to be honest, I didn't know a lot about the Cypriot League or Omonia. I have to be honest. Obviously, I knew it was one of the biggest clubs, but I didn't know a lot. So, but yeah, it was a great decision. You know, it's also in terms of for the family, it's a great place to live. And no, I'm really happy that I made that decision. I'm really happy that I had to leave Bulgaria. Yeah, and I'm happy that it was Omonia, you know, because it is one of the best clubs in Cyprus. That's for sure.
Did you have any offers from other clubs? Did you have any offers from other clubs in Cyprus?
No.
Not even before, but even at the time at Omonia, you never had any other offers?
After my first year, I had one, but I didn't go. I didn't leave.
And to be honest, Jordi, after that first year, I mean, it was a mess. I mean, Juan Olivia was the coach. He came, he didn't stay for long. Then Mr. Yannis came in. To be honest, you could have said, you know what, this is not working out. Excuse me for my language. Screw this shit. Let's just go find another team. But indeed, you did stay. And in the difficult times when a player that doesn't really know a lot about Omonia, but stays there and fights for the club and shows that loves the club, I think that's one of the reasons that you are one of the most loved and respected players. Was there any chance going through your mind after that first year maybe you would leave, or were you like, you know what, I'm going to stay and I'm going to make this work, I'm going to see how it's going to go?
Well, obviously when the season is not good, you think, okay, maybe they don't want me, or maybe I have to find a new challenge. But I had another year contract, so I stayed, and I'm happy that I stayed. You know, But obviously, when the person or the sporting director who signs you is gone after a month, or I think it was 3 weeks, the coach, and then sporting director 2 months.
Mhm.
So you start thinking, okay, maybe I'm next one. But after that happening to last 4 years, that means I did something well at the club. That's for sure.
Indeed.
Jordi, when the club was taken over, obviously there's a lot of controversy around it, especially with the certain sets of supporters. In the dressing room, what was that like for you guys to endure? Because, you know, we saw Gate 9, how popular they were and how they got behind the team. And then all of a sudden, everything just turns on its head. Was it difficult for you guys to comprehend what was going on? Or was it just one of those things where it's like, you know what, we'll just let the football do the talking?
Yeah, honestly, we didn't talk about it. And probably most of the players didn't know about it also. But no, we didn't, you know, we at least me, I concentrated on playing my football and, you know, like I've done always. And I was not aware of what was going on around around the club, honestly.
So you've come from Bulgaria. Prior to that, you were in England doing very, very well. You come to Cyprus, and obviously it was a difficult time for Omonoia. In terms of the level, now, I'm sure you get asked this question time and time again. We can't compare the level of Cypriot football elsewhere. But when you look at the opponents, the teams that we were up against on week in, week out, and how we were still struggling to win trophies and to compete, do you think that things could have been done different in the background to help the club? Or was it just like, well, this is football, this is the way it goes?
What do you mean? The first season?
Well, from your first season to obviously when things started to pick up and we won the league, between the time when you joined and we won the league when under Berg, was there any time where you could turn around and say, right, things could have been done a bit different in the background or even on the training field or just in general?
Yeah, obviously, you know, there's always room for improvement. There's always things you can do better. But, you know, in my case, as a player, I was not thinking about what should have been done or what shouldn't be done. You know, I was concentrating on my football like I've always done, and that's it. That's all you can do as a football player. You cannot think more than your job. It's not your job to concentrate on other things. At least this is the way I see it.
No, of course, but when you have 10, 11 players coming and going every summer, it must be...
No, for sure, to bring 15, 16 players per season is not the way to do it. That's for sure. That's for sure. That's something... and I think they changed that from my first year. I think it was 15, 16 new players. The second and third, the changes were a lot less than that, and you saw the results. It's not like you start from zero every season.
Yep.
That brings stability. That brings you know each other better to play. You play longer with your teammates. It's not like too many changes are not good, in my opinion.
Well, you outlasted Matt and Hadis, albeit by a couple of seasons anyway. With Matt anyway. Having Matt around, was that easier to get used to style play? Because listen, he was a fantastic striker in Cyprus, even in the UK. Don't get me wrong, but he was great for money, wasn't he?
No, Matt did well. I think 2 years, the 2 previous years I was not here, he scored 25 goals, 30 goals per season. My first year, it was not good for him. Well, it was not good for anybody. But then the first year of Berg, he scored like 15, 20 goals against. No, he did for the club. He was unbelievable. And he's a good lad. He's a very good person also. That's for sure. That's very important also. He's brilliant.
I'm itching to ask some questions, Stel, and the rest of the guys there, you know.
You keep disappearing. I don't know what's going on. Like, is this like
Yeah, mate,
Halloween?
You should be kicked. Should be kicked out. Let us do the talk.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Kid Puralis. So yeah, my question is, I'm gonna fast forward to what's going on now. Obviously, as a pod, we did have a few guests, like players who played for Omonoia, and they always mention how important you were to the club as a personality, other than your ability as a football player. You know, everyone agrees how important you were as a football player, but most importantly, you were the go-to person to everyone in the club. So whenever we had any guests on the show who were football players, whether that be players who still play for the club or players who played before, they always say that Jordi was the player who was like the glue for everything. You know, whenever we had any troubles, Jordi was a captain with everything that comes along with, not just you know, playing in the pitch, but you know, in the training ground and in the what's the apodidiria? The
Dressing room.
The dressing room, you know, you were the go-to guy for everyone. And the truth is that this year, Omonoia we've been saying as a pod that it's been missing that personality and that leadership in the club, you know. I don't know how much you've been following the club this season. I don't think it's too different to last year, if you ask me. The only difference was that we managed to win the cup and turn things around, even though that wasn't enough to change everything that was going wrong in the club. But I'd like to ask your opinion as a person who has been there for many years and a person that's been respected from everyone. What do you think's wrong last year and this year, and what is missing? Like, you witnessed it from the inside. What can you say about that?
What is missing? I don't know what is missing. For example, I can talk about last year. Last year, I think if you look at the first 2 years of BARCA, there were not too many changes. During the season and inside the season, the team was always more or less the same. There was a consistency in terms of selection of players. I think last year, there were a lot more changes, you know, in terms of players, in terms of, I don't know, some players left, some players came in. So it was, like we talked before, that the first year, for me, there were too many changes. But, you know, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't go well. That could be one of the reasons that affected the team. I don't know, obviously playing in Europe is also, it could affect the performances of the team. I don't know, it's a little bit of everything. I'm not gonna start saying here, okay, we should do this, we should do that. Some decisions were made, and just you have to accept that. It's not, as a player, even if you don't agree or you agree, you cannot do anything about it.
Do you think the model with the directors and the fact that we turned from one model to another has affected that? Did you? Because okay, last year
what we're talking. We are talking about changes. So you change the model after one season. You change the model, so it's going to affect the team for sure. Changes, all kind of changes. It could be players. It could be model of doing things. At the end of the day, when you make changes, you take that risk. Maybe things are not going to go the same way. It could be.
Do you think there is a certain model that might fit mostly, or do you think it's mostly the people who are around the club that pay the most attention? You know, is it a certain model that you have to stick with, or is it the people surrounding the club and the fact that, you know, the people who are there do their job the best way they can? Because
for sure, people who are there try to do their job the best I don't know. I don't know if it's the model or what it is. It's just first thing for me is just to identify what's the philosophy of the club, what's the identity of the club, what do you want from the club, what are the values you wanna for your club. That's what's the identity of the club. For example, can I ask you what's the philosophy of the club? What would you say if I ask you what's the philosophy of the club, the identity, what's the values that you see in the club?
In terms of the philosophy, it's very difficult to say now, I believe, anyway. It's very difficult.
You see Barcelona, you see Bayern Munich, you see big clubs, they have a philosophy. And even if you are not there, you could see from the outside, okay, these guys do the things this way. Mm-hmm. First, I think as a club, you need to identify the way you want to do things. Once you identify that, you try to do the best you can. But first is to know what you want to do. When you start changing from one model to another, maybe there is doubts about what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And this is going to affect the team.
The thing is, Jordi, the one thing that we've noticed, especially recently about this club, is that you cannot get away from the off-the-field politics. Now, obviously, politics is rife in football, which is understandable, but it becomes more magnified whenever the results aren't great. Now, let's get it right. It hasn't been a good league campaign so far, but we're seeing signs of progress under this head coach. But every time we seem to be moving one step forward, it's like two steps back because something is said by this one, something is done in the press, something is done this. And it's like, you can't keep your eyes away from the off the field stuff. And for me, while a lot of the players probably don't understand what's going on because of the language barrier or because they're just focused on their football, us as supporters, we're thinking, if the people at the top haven't got their house in order, how do you expect the players to feel when things hit the
No, for sure, everything starts from the top.
Yep.
And if the top, or the organization of the club, not only, all of the clubs, if there is not a good organization and things are not organized the proper way, it's going to affect the team. That's for sure. It's 100%. I think everything starts from there. Obviously, players and coaches and everything, they have to do their job properly. But I think it needs to have a cohesion between everything, so everybody going the same way, just to be successful.
Well, Jordi, can I ask you a question in regards to
that? Of course.
That's why you're here.
There was a lot of talk. So I'm going to give you an example. So a lot of people were saying after we won the championship, after we qualified for Europe, Omonoia was at the high, the confidence, the mentality, everything, that this would be moving on forward and would just move up and up and up. Then the third season, we saw it starting to go down, the bad performances. There was a lot of people saying that players that were brought in were not fit. It was Berg's fault. Berg was playing the wrong system because he wasn't backed. Or
Abadagi, his departure as well. People were
talking about that. So it was all, just like you said, from the top. So there were so many problems. If you can actually be open and honest, and if you can say, what do you think was, other than the too many changes, the one thing that, excuse me for my language, fucked up last year in the team, personally? And again, from your point of view, you're playing there, you know what's going on. Was it a coach? Was it the backing, the mentality, all the new players? What do you think went wrong last year?
I don't know. I would say I don't know. It's difficult, obviously. We came from nothing to champions, and then once you are champion, you are there. Yeah. You need to keep those standards. You need to. It's a different approach. You start the season not from the same point. So that maybe we didn't manage to manage that situation. In terms of being the champions. Before we were Nobody. And once you are champions, that's what big teams do. Maybe we were not ready to be the big team, you know.
Okay.
We had the pressure to be there, and before we didn't have any pressure.
Because there was a lot of people saying that you got there. This was a time to invest and stay up top.
Yeah.
But obviously it didn't happen. So just like you're saying, maybe the team wasn't ready to stay up there and continue being there. So
probably.
Yeah. Stel?
No, the thing is, when you look at that season, we got into the Champions League and the qualification section, when obviously you scored that goal against Legia Warsaw. It was a famous victory in Poland, beating Red Star Belgrade at home on penalties. Again, a phenomenal performance for us, especially in extra time, given the players were going down with cramp, but yet we were still fighting through and won it on penalties. And then it was a remarkable season for us in general when you think about it. But it comes to a point now when I look at this squad, and I remember when we had Huberchan and Lufner and yourself and people like Ernest, Shepa, all these players who have done it at such a big level. And no disrespect to the players that we have now, because I don't want to shit on them, because a lot of them are superb, absolutely superb for us in terms of their personalities, and they try their best week in, week out. And we can talk about the administration, we could talk about things that happen in the background, but it's an obvious, I guess it's a rhetorical question, Jordi, but in terms of confidence, when you're winning games, the confidence takes you through and it gives you that extra 10, 15%, doesn't it? But when you're losing and you're dropping points here and there, conceding silly goals and the repetition hits, that must damage the motivation, which then causes bad results. Do you think the situation that we have right now, forget the leadership side of things for a moment, because I think that's one thing we've been lacking, getting a good string of results should kickstart our season, no?
Yeah, of course, but I think it shouldn't be that way. So if you're winning, your confidence is high. If you're losing, your confidence is not high. If you want to be a big team, if you want to be champion, obviously you're going to go through bad spells of results. You're going to be 3-4 games that you're not going to win. So the key, and I think the year we were champions, the key was, okay, we were having bad results at the beginning of the season, but we kept our, stability. We didn't lose our heads. But the moment you start getting too excited when you win one game, or too disappointed when you don't win 2 games, then it is a problem. So the key is to keep keep a balance, and that's the key. That's the key. You go slowly. It's a long way. It's not like, but here in Cyprus, or at least what I lived at the club, is like, okay, when you win one game, you are the best in the world. Everybody's, and then you lose 2 games, is like the end of the world. No, I mean, me, for example, as a player, I try to, keep the balance. You lost, okay. As long as you try your best, as long as you know what to do, it's no problem. But you cannot depend on, okay, we lost, my confidence is low, okay, we won. No, your confidence should be the same at all times. But you know that you are not going to win all games. You know that you're going to go through difficult moments during the season. As long as you know that, you're not going to keep your focus on that. But I think losing your confidence when you lose, or winning, or increasing your confidence when you win, I don't think that's from big teams. Big teams, they have their confidence at all times high.
Is that something you believed because of your experience playing in all these years? Was that the same mentality you had through all your years playing football, or is that something that changed? Because I was going to ask you, because I want to move on to what's going on to Omonoia nowadays. Obviously, it is true that in Cyprus, we are very unbalanced, maybe more than any other country. About, is what you said. And I remember you saying that many times.
Dysfunctional, mate, dysfunctional.
Yeah, there were moments when we used to lose and you would say, just because we lost, we're not the worst team, and when we win, it doesn't mean we're the best team. But seeing Omonia this year, I don't know how close you are. Obviously, you're still living in Cyprus, so I'm guessing that you're following Omonia in some shape or form, and even though you're not in the dressing room and you're not training with the players, is not going to change your opinion. But do you think what you're seeing of Omonia, the sample you've seen so far, do you think there's still time for us to turn things around, or do you think some things have gone wrong from the beginning, and we're going to have to wait for January to maybe change a few players? Or you understand what I'm asking? It's
obviously in terms of results you are behind, so you don't have a margin of error now if you want to be there close to the top. But it's what I said before, as long as you have a plan as a team, as a club, you have a plan of how you want to do things, is not a problem to go through this spell of bad results. But everything starts from your plan. As long as you have a plan, as long as you have a clear picture of the way you want to play, results will come.
Do you think there is a certain philosophy or an identity in Omonia this year, or you think they are struggling, obviously because they changed from Berg to Lennon, now Ferreira, a lot of different players that some of them, there's a doubt between, the fans about what's going on. Do you think that Omonia is lacking that sort of philosophy and that sort of mentality that you're describing?
I mean, as you said, I'm in the outside. I'm not inside the club. I'm not inside the dressing room. I'm not, I don't have the details. But from the outside, the only thing I see is Lennon and the new coach is completely a different philosophy. In the 2 games I've seen, it's completely different philosophy. So that's the only thing I can say. Is so you went from a different for one style of playing to a completely different one. So maybe it was a mistake at the beginning. I don't know. But for sure, from the outside, what I see is that the philosophy from Lennon and the new coach is not the same. That means maybe we have to fix first what do we want, the way we want to play, or the one we want to do things. I don't know. This is what I see from the outside. I don't have any details, concrete details.
Okay, because we're going close to an hour, and I don't know how much time you have available to continue.
I have all time of the world. Yeah,
let's switch gears a little bit. Let's switch gears. Yeah, let's put into third now, right? Yeah, because we've been stuck in second for long. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say.
Go on, you fire away, because I've got a few questions off the top of my head anyway.
I think that up until now for the first hour.
Roy, one question, because I know you don't stop talking. All right, thank you.
Yeah, shut up.
Danny's sitting there like, oh my god.
Listen, I can sit and listen all night. Don't worry.
I just think that the first hour was really easy for Jordi.
Come on, let's start with the difficult questions. Come on.
All right. Do you want to go, Roy?
I'm going to start. I'm going to go the first question. I know I might be risking my career on Total Green, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. But
put your balls on the table, mate. Come on.
Yeah, there's talk about we had Mr. Babastavro on the show on Total Green on last Monday, and he said that he's considering bringing in either a technical director or a sporting director in the club. First of all, has anyone approached you? And secondly, do you think that Omonia was lacking in that aspect, that sort of, do you think that a technical director or a sporting director would help the situation in Omonia? Because other than the the fact that Omonoia wasn't playing to their standards. It seemed at times that they needed that extra person, that extra help to control what was going on in the dressing room. There were things like disciplinary matters that needed someone to address them. It seemed like the manager had to deal with a lot more things that he could handle. Do you think that having someone there to control the players and be like a link between the players and the board, let's say, is something necessary for Omonoia to be more healthy, let's say?
First question is no. That door was closed in May, so no contact at all. And second, listen, the ones in charge are going to decide what to do. I'm not going to say anything about it. You know, they made decisions and they have to decide what to do. It's not. I'm not going to comment on that. It's not. I have no intention of commenting on. You know.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions?
I've got one. Okay, Jordi, right? Listen, I messaged a couple of your former teammates, to find some information, and people were tight-lipped. But I got two people. One of them said that you were his go-to guy when it came to calming situations down. If he felt a bit stressed, he'd talk to you and you'd give him advice. Cool. Do you get what I'm saying? Jordi Gomez, Mr. Chilled here, yeah? But another guy said to me, I'm gonna try to find the question. Where is it? Asking him about farting.
Again, the farting question. Fuck's sake.
Well, I'm sorry,
Listen,
Roy.
In that dressing room, there were some good farters.
My God, man.
I have to say, some good ones.
Well, listen, the person that asked me the question to ask you, I think he was trying to get at that you were like top level, like when it came to that. Is this what he's saying? Is it true? Were you like 10 out of 10?
No, 10 out of 10, no. I was close, but there were some others better than me, I have to say.
On. Are they still at the club?
No, I won't say any names.
Oh, come on.
No. But this is something I learned in England, you know. In England, you know, I was coming from Spain. If somebody farts, you look at the guy, you say, what's going on here? In England, they fart and they don't even care, you know. It's like they look at you like, what the fuck? You know, that's so yeah, in Omonoia, last year there were some good ones. I was not the best.
I feel like the sports sites interview with Jordi Gomez speaking about the
party. That's what.
That's the only reason I wanted him on to ask about the farting. That's all. Like,
that's the news tomorrow. That's the news tomorrow. That's the level, you know.
Chris, have you got any questions before I start talking and I don't shut up?
Oh, God. Just ask him about the goals. Come on, the lobs. You know you want to ask. Which one was best? Abuel? Was it Abuel? Was it PSV? Was it Karabakh? Come on, Chris.
Where was it? Where did
the
decision
come from?
You've had
days to prepare.
Did you see the goalie out, or did you say, I'm just going to knock it? Did you see the goalie was like very far from his goals? How did it come? Honest.
It's obvious. Yeah, the goalkeeper was out.
Obvious. Maybe it was lucky. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, it was lucky. I was lucky. You try, but not always go in. But I was lucky that I tried. I don't know, 3 or 4 times and I scored 2.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, but obviously, you see the goalkeeper. Most of the goalkeepers are out most of the time. So, but.
And how were you feeling after that? Were you like, oh shit, what did I just score?
No, honestly, I don't know what to do when I score a goal, so I didn't think a lot. No, but it's always nice to score goals, and obviously if they are like this, even more. So yeah, they were nice goals to score.
Is there one that stands out for you most, though? Not just the goals that you score from range, whether it be a penalty, whether it be just a goal in general. Is there one that stands out for you, scoring for Omonoia?
What do you mean? The best goals of
your favorite one, so to speak? Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the goals I scored for Omonoia are some of the best goals I've scored during my career. Yeah, for sure.
Are there any standout ones, like for the significance, be it a victory or?
No, probably the one against Everton with WIGAN, in the 3-0 was very nice. I don't know. There's the one I scored with Swansea in the derby against Cardiff City was I think my first goal for the club. No, there've been some good goals during my career, but obviously the ones with Omonoia, some of them are, I will remember them forever for sure.
Go on.
No, the thing I want to say, it might take a couple of minutes because I've got some quick fire questions sent from Mike Perry, and he's done most of the work I would have done today. So I want to ask them because they're really interesting questions. But before I go ahead, I mean, if you've got anything else to ask, I like to just say one thing. Today is Ernest Asante's birthday, and I'd like to say happy birthday to Ernest.
Happy birthday, Ernest. There you go.
Happy birthday, Ernest. Ernest.
And he's watching, by the way. He's watching.
Great singer. Yeah.
Really? So yeah, I've got. Stel, do you want to ask a couple of questions before I go ahead with the quick fire ones? Because I've got some really interesting questions here lined up.
Yeah. Do you know what, Jordi? The one thing that I was a little bit disappointed about with Omonia's social media is that they didn't do like a left foot challenge, because I've asked Kiko about this, and I wanted to know, who do you think had the best left foot at the club? Because there was you, there was Jan, there was Eric, Kiko.
No, normally all left-footed have good left foot. For sure.
Loizo, yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, Kiko, Jan, obviously Eric, also myself. No, I think I don't know.
Did you have like a competition? Surely there must have been some banter with you guys, with rondos and all that. I know what happens.
No, we never had any competition.
Really?
Honestly. No.
Wow. Okay. No. Because when I spoke to Ernest and Shehu, they're always arguing who's the laziest trainer, who does this.
No, but those are true. Those two.
The kids. The kids.
They were Ernest and Shehu. They were always together in the middle in the boxes.
Ah, okay. That says it all then.
That's the only thing we did. But no, in terms of left-footed. Nothing.
No. Well, when Matt came on the pod the very first time Matt came on this pod, he said that Michael Lufner had the worst dress sense. He was wearing tight t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. Over the years you were at Omonoia, who was the worst, past and present? Does that have to be someone that's there now? Well, who was the worst dresser? Like they came in training every day and thinking, where'd you get these clothes from?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that, honestly. I didn't pay. There were other players always looking other players. He's wearing it, but I was, let them wear whatever they want. I'm not gonna judge them for that.
All right, okay. So, who would you say was the funniest teammate at Omonoia you ever had? The funniest, like the joker, the one that always played pranks, or
The funniest. I think Thomas was funny. Thomas. Hugo Khan.
Yeah, everyone says Hugo, yeah.
What was it Hugo who took Lufner's phone and said that it was...
No, I think, I don't know the story, but yeah, I think somebody took Lufner phone, and he got crazy. He got.
I think it was
got-
Matt. It was
He was
Matt,
mad,
I
no.
think. And then he blamed Hambos for it.
Yeah, and then no, he went crazy. Lefner went crazy because somebody. Oh my God, I don't know the details, but yeah, I saw the face of Michael a little bit angry.
Before we get into the quick fire questions that I like to ask, which
I thought we were in them.
I like to ask you a little bit about the youngsters in Omonoia. Obviously there's Jonis who left, who went to the States. There's Bana, there's Hambo, there's Loizo, there's Kaku, and a few other players. What's your advice to these youngsters, and what do you think of them as a more experienced player that has played in a higher level? What do you think of these players?
My advice, I'm nobody to give advice, but I would say no matter what happens, just you keep going. You have a goal, and obviously, as we said before, you're going through difficult moments, better moments, good moments. So as long as you keep your balance when you score a goal, when you win games, when you win, and you keep your balance always, and you have a goal and you go for it, you'll be fine. But I think your head is really important in terms of getting where you want to be. Obviously, they have the ability, they have the conditions to be good footballers, but they need to live for football. Just fight for it and go for it. Whatever happens, you go for it.
What would be your advice to the fans? Because obviously the fans are disappointed at the moment, and it's really important to hear it from someone who has been. I'm not expecting you to say something completely different. It's the balance and try to support the team, but how difficult it is to convince the fans that what's going on is just part of the game.
Listen, it's difficult. I think they can do whatever they want to do. They are free to think the way they want to think. They were free to do what they want, to support or not support. But most of the time, they're going to support the team. But they're entitled to be angry when things are not going well. I think it's not about advising the fans. It's about as a team, you have, as I said before, you keep your balance. Whatever happens, you keep your balance. And at the end of the day, if you keep your balance and the team does well, they're gonna be happy. So you have to make them happy. You don't have to give advice to them. Just make them happy with your performances and with your.
All right, boys. Have you got any questions? Because I've got about a few questions I'd like to ask, even though they're quick fire ones. But like, if anyone wants to ask something before I continue with the
I've got very, very quick ones. Jordi, I'm going to give you some players' names, and maybe you can describe them in 2 or 3 words. Well, if that's
Okay.
Okay. Well, a lot of people are asking Gusu.
I don't know, strong. I think with this injury he had, and for sure difficult moments, he lived difficult moments. I think they will make him stronger, and it will make good to him. Obviously, it's not good to be injured. I've been injured myself, but I think those moments will make him stronger. And I think actually he played really good on the last game he played against Anorthosis, I think.
Yeah.
So I think he's gonna be important for Omonoia this season.
Okay. Fabi,
My God, Fabi, big hands, Fabi. No, he in the year we were champions, he was unbelievable, and as a person, he's brilliant also. So that's even more important.
Thiago,
Thiago, I loved playing with Thiago.
Big game player. Big game player.
And he helped us a lot when he was here.
Okay, because he's watching Ernest.
Ernest is a really good guy. I've never seen a better guy than Ernest, and also very good player. He was a key player for us when we were champions.
Okay, Matt
is also really nice guy. Since from the first moment when I first came in, he was a captain and he was always nice to me. And obviously he's a goal scorer. He can score goals anytime.
Okay, and let's go with Dura.
Dura, I like his mentality a lot. Especially when last year when he was not playing, but he was training like the best. So I love it. I love him so much. The mentality he has, and that's very important for a football player. With that mentality, this winning mentality, no matter what, you keep going.
Did you notice a change in his attitude in I wouldn't say the second season, but the back end of his first season with the club? Because I know he got a lot of criticism from certain supporters because he wasn't the killer in front of goal. But I absolutely admired his resilience and his work rate. And
that's what I meant. Yeah, it's just, things were not going well for him, but he was always there training. If he was asked to play 5 minutes, he was giving his best. So, yeah, he was not scoring, but he scored some goals actually. But,
yeah.
As long as you keep going, that's the main thing.
Great stuff. And I've just got one more quick question before Roy takes over. I don't know how many shows you watch of ours, mate, but I've always admired Gagulli in terms of his positional awareness and his movement off the ball, how he occupies centre-backs, how he can draw them out of position. He's come under immense criticism recently because, again, he doesn't score enough goals for what people believe anyway. But what can you tell us about him, just to not calm the fans down or calm the situation down, but what have you seen with this player? What have you noticed about him?
No, from the moment I came in to now, he improved a lot. His movement has improved a lot. His movement, the way he finds space for himself, the way he runs in behind the defense, I think is going to be important. KAKOU'S this year. I think he improved a lot and he's still very young, so he has a lot of room for improvement. Yeah, he's not scoring goals, okay, but what can we do? As long as he keeps trying, he will get there for sure.
Well, the thing is, I keep saying this, and I'm sorry to bring this up again, but my friend Leon, who used to play for Swansea and Chelsea, he always said to me, when you're a striker, it's not just about scoring goals, it's when you're not scoring goals, it's what you do off the ball. That's just as important.
Another thing about the KAKOU'S is he presses a lot, and that's very important for the team. If the striker of these two strikers work hard for the team, it's going to make the team better. If the two strikers don't work hard, it's going to be really difficult for the team to play well. That's something KAKOU'S gives to the team also.
Excellent. Roy, over to you, mate.
Okay, so I've got some.
I'm scared.
No, don't worry about it, Jordi. It's going to be quick fire question.
No, whatever you want.
No, this is going to be the fun part of the interview from me. Okay.
Yeah.
And like I'll repeat, because I don't want these questions to sound like the mine. It's Mike Curry, so Mike, the president. So do you know that you share the same birthday with Eric Cantona? And do you swap any birthday wishes with Eric Cantona?
No, I didn't know.
Okay. Do you have any aspirations to go into coaching?
Some days
Those
yes,
are-
some days no.
Okay, so that's fair enough because it's quick fire, you know. From all the clubs and the leagues you have played in, what's the most important lessons that you have learned?
The one I said before, that you're gonna go through difficult moments, and those difficult moments are gonna make you a better player.
Okay. Favorite player you have played with in Omonia?
But I would say Thiago, Vitor Gomez, those two. No, I think Jan Lejak also, you know. Mostly the players who played around me, all of them I enjoyed playing with them.
What about the best player you have played with?
Best player.
That's
cannot name.
2 questions, in Omonia and out of Omonia.
But how do you? What's the best player? How can you define the best player? I would
That's
say
up to you to decide.
DEFOE, Jermaine DEFOE at Sunderland. It was one of the best players I played with. Omonia, I prefer not to.
Okay. If you were able to give a piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, to you, go back almost 20 years ago, what would Jordi give advice to an 18-year-old Jordi?
I would say, for example, when I was 18, I was going with the first team of Barcelona or with the first team at Espanyol, and I sometimes look at those players and they were like something special for me. What I would advise to myself is like, you know, they are good players, they are big stars, but they are normal people. You have to treat them like normal. They are not different than you.
Okay, and what's your favorite food in Cyprus?
I don't know. Halloumi is good.
Come on.
That's boring, man. That's boring.
Come on.
Souvla.
Souvla. Okay, souvla. And the first word you learned to speak in Greek?
Oh, come on. You can't ask him that.
Yeah, of course I can.
Kalimera.
Oh, okay. Right.
There you go. Okay.
Malaka.
Yeah, that's the one I was expecting.
Oh, Jesus.
That's it from me, man. I don't know if you guys have got. I mean, there's quite a few comments asking a few questions, but you know,
do you know what? I'm going to ask one that I didn't even think of until now, right? Jordi, you know, I do a lot of strange things on social media, and you know, I had the T-shirt made, I had the James Bond meme, I had the he's dropping everything now. And when there was that goal, well, sorry, yeah, you were given an award, and I kind of photoshopped it to do like a drawing of you scoring that goal. I mean, when me, Roy, Chris, we do these podcasts and we do all sorts of strange things on social media, is this something that I wouldn't say helps the club, but does it kind of lift the atmosphere a little bit?
What do you mean?
Well, we do these podcasts and we try to be as fair and all that, and we do our stuff on social media and all the you know, the bizarre things, as you know, as Roy once coined. Does what we do and does what the fans say on this podcast kind of help the players? Do any of them pay attention? Is this something that helps them get the morale up?
I don't know if it helps or not. Obviously, when the team doesn't win, if they watch the podcast, it could be damaging. You know, it could be. But I don't know. I think it's good that you do it. You know, it's not a problem. It should help. You know.
Should do. All right, Danny. I know you've been quiet for a very good, well, a very long time. Do you have any more questions before we wrap it up?
Do you know what? There was a couple of players I was going to ask about, right, from your time at Wigan. The first one, and I've heard a few players talk about him. It sounds like a bit of a loon, a bit of a character. But Paul Sharner, what's he like in real life? It's like we see when he's
in real life, I
like
don't
to play with.
In
like
real life, I don't know. Yeah, but it was a special one. I think he was a good guy. It is a good guy. But yeah, he had some. Yeah, as you said, he's a special character. I don't know how to define it, but he was a special character. Yeah.
Any stories from that year you shared?
No, I cannot remember. Sorry.
That's all right. I just
Sorry.
honestly, when he re-signed in that January in 2013, have you seen the photo of him in Asda next to the stadium with a massive fur coat?
Yeah, I think he posted something just before signing. Oh, after signing. I can't remember now.
Yeah, someone saw him buying groceries or something.
Yeah.
And the other one is
no, he liked this kind of things. Yeah.
Just one more, right? So you mentioned singing before, okay? So initiation songs are a big thing in English football. Like when you sign for a club, you have to sing a song. Did you sing
in
one?
Cyprus also?
So did you
now
sing
everywhere
one?
now?
What did you sing? And were there any really good ones or really bad ones that you can remember from other players? Yeah, what did you sing? And then were there any good ones or any bad ones from other players?
No, from me they were all bad for sure.
But you have to sing it again now, though. You have to sing it again now.
And no, honestly, is there are players who enjoy doing it, but there's some others. The majority is hard. You know, you are there having your dinner, and you're thinking about, okay, now I have to sing. And everybody's. It's not nice to do it. It's not nice to do it. I don't enjoy it. That's why it's better not to change teams. It's better to stay in the same.
But was there anyone that surprised you with their voice, that they're singing? Was there anyone you think, well, he's got a decent voice there?
I think Matthews was good at Sunderland. I don't know how he did at here at Omonoia. Adam Matthews.
Okay.
He was really good singer. Then obviously Asante. I think his song was, we were in Poland. We were playing against Legia, and the night before, my God, that was
his debut as well. That was his debut, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, that was really good. You know, if you ask anybody from that team, they will remember that day, that night before Legia. I think it was after the game, or maybe before. I can't remember. I think
was it Red Star?
But
the penalties when he was singing in the dressing room
before
as well.
Legia and after, because he sang, we won, so he sang again after things.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Right, unfortunately, Chris had to duck. He had a few issues. I think it might have been his dog just chewing away at his feet again, which normally happens. His dog's a bit ravenous. But Danny, thank you for jumping on, mate. Really appreciate your time. Really great to have you on, and hopefully we can have you back on. Yeah, man. No, I enjoyed it. It's been good fun. Thanks for having me. Great stuff. Great stuff. Jordi, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for everything, man. You've helped this team to some great victories, some great title wins. The cup, obviously. You've given us some superb memories that we'll never forget. I can't bring up all the comments, man, because there's just so many of them, but there's so much love for you. It's unbelievable. And you're an Omonoia legend, and thank you for everything. I'm sure Roy will put it out in more eloquent terms than I will, because I do get a little bit emotional when we have former players on. So yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. I think
Roy was a little bit tired of me in the last year.
Was he?
So?
He got tired with me.
So really? You've been watching the pod then, if you think that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I think, okay, here it is. No.
So I have a question also.
There you go. Okay. Jordi asked me the question, so I'm gonna answer. Okay.
Actually, no. I'm gonna tell you. The question is, in one podcast you said that I was not allowing players around me to shine or to play well, and I just wanna ask, what's your comment on that? Because I've seen players around me playing really well. I've seen Vitor Gomez, I've seen Kusulus, I've seen Thiago, I've seen Lejax, I've seen the young players. So this is my question.
Okay, I'll answer.
But I felt that obviously not because of you, but in my last season I felt that people, when you've been too long in a team or in the same place, they want to see new faces. So this is my feelings. What do you think about it?
Okay, this is directed to me.
Not from you, maybe from the other people also. That
Okay.
was I felt.
Yeah, I want this to be a clip from the first moment when Jordi asked the question. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. I think that in the last, let's say, 20 years, you are amongst the top players that have played in Omonoia. That's an honesty, something that comes from my heart. I also said that you helped, especially Kusu, develop as a player, and even Hambos, because I have a connection with his family and I know how you have helped. I think as a personality and as a leader, we cannot replace you. Yes, it's true that I said that at times I wanted someone to be able to replace you, because I thought it was unfair that you had to take all that weight on your shoulders when you were at a certain age. I never said that I didn't want you to be in the squad, but I said that it was unfair for you to continue at the age you were, to have all that weight on your shoulders. And I thought that Omonoia should have prepared someone to replace you without you living in the club. But more than anything else, what is missing is your character, your personality, and your leadership and what you have done. And I said that when you left, this is not goodbye, it's see you later, because I'm sure that in one shape or form, you're going to come back to Omonoia because you've got a lot more to offer. So I'm being honest with you.
No, it's not. I'm not asking in a bad way. Just.
But I'm answering honestly.
Yeah, it's not. I understand what you say, and
it's the same with Papuli. It's unfair to expect from Papuli at this age, of the age of 38, to not have someone to be able to replace him. So it's the same thing that I was saying. This is what I'm saying.
It's not good.
Is this the reason you didn't follow me on Instagram?
No, but I asked because one day I was watching and it's like you were saying this, that okay, I was not letting anybody to be themselves, that I was listen. And at that point, I started to realize that you were getting tired of me.
Oh, so it's Roy's fault you left. Oh my God.
Listen, Jordi, do you know? Okay,
it's your fault.
I'll ask you this.
No, listen.
That's the headline for tomorrow.
I appreciate your words. I appreciate for sure your support. Yes, it's not, but it's just good conversation. It's not.
Do you know
what I meant is like at any point, my purpose and my intentions inside the team, it was at all times helping the team, helping my teammates, and trying to make them better or make the team better with me inside. I never tried to be the man, to be the main,
Bro, do you know what?
Sorry, Stel,
Sorry,
because
Roy.
this is just an answer.
Fine.
I said, and I don't know if anyone else agrees on the show, that when you were playing with Mix was confused, you know, because I think it was an episode where you were playing with Mix, and I thought that after your injury, Mix took over your sort of responsibility. And I said that when you and Mix are playing together, you didn't have the same balance as you and Kusu had. So that was, I thought that both of you needed to hold on to the ball and dictate the tempo a bit more. And with you and Mix being in the same 11, it was a bit difficult. So maybe that is what I meant. Maybe it was one of those episodes. But I repeat, as a character, as a personality, as a captain, you are one of the best players that ever played for Omonoia. And I'm sure you heard that as well.
No, listen, don't take it the wrong way. It's to make it more interesting, the interview, to make it interesting, you know. I appreciate your words. Honestly, 100%.
Jordi, I think the thing is, right, obviously, you know, football fans are very, very emotional. And whenever we do podcasts, so the biggest mistake we made, I think it was after we lost to Aboel in the cup, and we did the pod literally 10 minutes after, and we went off on one. And Michael Lufner, he weren't too happy with what we were saying. And I think for us, it was a massive learning curve, because while we're trying to speak on behalf of supporters, we also have a duty as well, because people follow us. And while we're not a massive platform, we still have a responsibility. So there are people that are going to hang on to words that we say. So it's not about us like being influential in any way, but we don't want to be disruptive. And look, I'm sure you've watched pods and thought, oh, Stel's talking shit, Roy's talking shit, whatever. But you know, and that'll be fair enough, bro. Like, but there've been times where I've turned around and said, and you know full well, there've been times I've said on this pod that players such as yourself and Hubo and the experienced players, they're needed in the dressing room, because they're going to be players that look up to you guys, that have been at the highest level. So when you did leave, when Hubo left, when other players with that experience left, we knew it was going to leave a gaping hole, because you can't replace players with that experience and with that affiliation with a club. So when you did leave, we needed to bring in someone with your experience, but also knew what the club was about and what the fans demanded.
Listen, it's not a problem. You do the podcast, you can say, as I said, the fans, you are entitled to do and to express your opinion, like with freedom. It's not a problem. For me.
But we know that we know the problems that it could cause if we're not careful with what we say. This is what I'm saying. So we try to be balanced and we try to be fair. So, you know, it's difficult, but we choose to do it. So we can't complain.
It's not a problem. It's better that you do it. It's good. It makes, you know, you have to deal with criticism sometimes, you know. It's like this. And
Iero sort of answered a bit of the things I wanted to say, that we came to be too dependent on you, and we knew you weren't going to play forever. So I sort of said that we should have had someone to replace you gradually.
Listen, you won't replace me.
Yeah.
Because we are all unique players. So everybody's, when Papulis is not here anymore, you're not going to replace him, because we are all unique players. As I said before, as long as you have a plan, as a club, as a team, as a way of playing, you'll find a way. You cannot replace, okay, I'm going to replace this player with this player. No, you have to find a way. So you play the way you want to play. That's basically the key to success, as long as you have a clear picture of what you want. But yeah, in terms of replacing players, it's difficult to, you know, to replace them. But as I said, not a problem in expressing your opinions. It's nice. I just wanted to comment this thing.
No, it was.
It's not.
But do you know what, Jordi, to be honest, mate, you know, we've been lucky to do reasonably well with this pod, right? And whenever we're together, me and Roy, when we're out in Cyprus, even in Manchester, we have had people coming up to us saying a lot of positive things, but I'd like to hear some negative stuff as well. Not because I'm a masochist or anything, but I'm a realist. Not everyone likes what we're doing, and we can take the criticism. I've got no problem with it. So it's not all rainbows and, you know, whatever.
No, as you said, you are entitled to do whatever you want. Nobody can stop you from giving your opinion. It's the way it is. The way it is. It's not. It's good that you're doing this, you know.
Well, there's a lot of love for you, man. There's a lot of love for you, and
a lot of hate for me.
I'm sure.
No, listen, I'm as I said, I've been criticized so many times during my career. So now it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. I find it interesting just to comment. It's not. I don't take anything personally.
Is Roy
responsible for any other wrestling? At Wigan, I was skilled most of the games at the beginning, so it's okay. That made me stronger.
Listen, I was going to say, Joy, there was a pocket of us up in the East Stand who were desperately trying to shout them down. Trust me. And do you know what though? Honestly, ever since you left, there's more and more. I was one of the founding members of the Jordi Gomez fan club in Lancashire, and I swear to God, there's more and more and more of us with every passing day. I think they realise how good you were.
Once you are gone, then you get the.
Look, there was a few of us who were trying to get it going while you were still at the club, mate. Honestly, it was yeah. But no, I'm pleased that you stayed and battered through it, because my God, dude, there was I can still see you throwing yourself at the ball for the diving header against Reading, the hat trick.
Yeah. That goal was nice also. That goal was.
But no, there's
actually that game I think I was gonna be souped at halftime, but then I think Sean Maloney got injured, so I was still on the pitch, and I scored 3 goals. First half I was getting, and then I scored 3 goals. You know, this is football. Yeah. You go from here. This is football. Yeah.
There you go. Well, again, Jordi, thank you for your time, mate. Really appreciate it. We've done almost 2 hours, man. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I know, exactly. And you rarely do pods, so this is a privilege for us, man. And again, I thank you so much. And the other thing I want to thank you for is last season you signed a shirt which ended up at my friend Danny's house. Danny's a big Blackburn Rovers fan. He works for Wolves for their sports medicine team, and he wanted to jump on, but he couldn't make it. So he says thank you for the shirt as well. So yeah, thanks, man.
Perfect. No, it's been a pleasure to be here today with you all, and I wish you all the best. Well,
look, hopefully you can come back on again without Roy, obviously.
We will see. I'll think about it.
I'll get Matt to come on as well to replace Roy.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Great stuff. Roy.
Honestly, no problem. It was only to come, and I appreciate your words.
Don't worry about it, brother. You know, for me, I've been doing the pod with Stel and Chris and the other boys, you know, for almost 2 years. And today, for me, it was the biggest honor I ever had, being on a podcast, because because of you. And for me, it's the most important podcast. I mean, I have ever been a part of, and I want to thank you for everything you have offered to the club. I repeat again, you are a personality, a captain, a football player that for me is one of the best in the club's history, and that will never change. You know, even though towards the end of your career, I had my opinion about, I thought it was unfair for you more than anything else. You see all the messages, but it was an absolute pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. And I know that you're not a person that likes to jump on and talk a lot about yourself. And it was also a big pleasure to see you when we were playing United. When I saw you outside the stadium, when we had a photo, that was like an amazing moment.
God, it was too many people that day. I'm not coming back to again. Too many people.
But it's an absolute pleasure, and I can't thank you enough for everything you offered. You know, I want to thank you. Thank you very much, hermano.
Thank you,
Roy. There you go, boys and girls. So that was Jordi Gomez. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your nunna. This show was powered by Bet on Alpha. How can I forget them? And as they say, fuck Androbi. So until next time, Roy, Bedo, say it.
Πάμε σιλά καμουθιά όλε μαύρε.